वेलकम टू ऑल अबाउट स्टार्टअप्स इनसाइड द इकोसिस्टम। यहाँ हम मिलते हैं उन इनोवेटर से, एंटरप्रेन्योर से और चेंज मेकर से जो फ्यूचर को शेप कर रहे हैं। हमारे आज के गेस्ट हैं मनन इस्सर, जिन्होंने प्रोस्थेटिक इंडस्ट्री में काफी ग्राउंड ब्रेकिंग काम किया है। आज हम सुनेंगे इनकी स्टार्टअप चैलेंजेस और इनसाइट्स के बारे में और जानेंगे कैसे एक आइडिया स्टार्टअप बन जाता है। सो सिट बैक, रिलैक्स and get ready to be inspired.
So Manan, thank you for being a part of this podcast. हमारी ऑडियंस को थोड़ा अपने बारे में बताओ और पिल्टोवर के बारे में थोड़ा बहुत बताओ।
जी थैंक यू मुझे बुलाने के लिए। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल मेरा नाम मनन है। मैं अभी एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन हेड कर रहा हूँ जिसका नाम है पिल्टोवर टेक्नोलॉजीज, जिसमें हमारा आइडिया ये है कि हम टेक्नोलॉजी को इंक्लूसिव बनाएं। जो भी प्रोडक्ट्स और इसमें सोल्यूशंस निकालें उनका सेंट्रिक कॉज यही रहेगा कि हम सोशल इम्पैक्ट क्रिएट करें। चाहे वो प्रोस्थेटिक हैंड्स हो, चाहे वो बोन सेट्स हो, ये डिफरेंट प्रोडक्ट्स जो हम लोग बना रहे हैं उनका ओवरऑल कॉज यही है कि हम फॉर प्रॉफिट कंपनी है बट हम सोशल इम्पैक्ट से ड्रिवन है। जो भी हमारे सॉल्यूशंस होंगे वो इस विजन के साथ क्रिएट हुएंगे कि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोगों की मदद हो और एक ड्रास्टिक डिसरप्शन लाए अपने स्पेसिफिक फील्ड्स के अंदर। इस विजन के साथ हमने एक कंपनी शुरू की थी अराउंड 2015 में। आज काफ़ी साल बाद हमने काफ़ी प्रोस्थेटिक हैंड्स बना लिए हैं डिफरेंट टाइप के, मैकेनिकल, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक, मायो इलेक्ट्रिक। सबके अंदर द एडवांटेज जो है वो ये है कि इनका कॉस्ट काफ़ी कम होता है, तो सबके लिए अफोर्डेबल है, हेंस इंक्लूसिव, एंड फंक्शनैलिटी इज़ एक्सेसिव। तो डिसरप्शन जो हम बोलते हैं कि किसी पर्टिकुलर डोमेन में लाना, वो यही है कि आप उसको 10 टियर डाउन लेके आ जाए ताकि सब लोग यूज़ कर पाएँ और टेक्नोलॉजी का फ़ायदा उठा सकें। तो इसी विजन के साथ हमने एक कंपनी शुरू की थी और आज तक हम इस पे टिके हुए हैं।
बट व्हाई ओनली प्रोस्थेटिक? सिर्फ प्रोस्थेटिक क्यों?
इनिशियली हम लोगों ने जब ये पूरा सेक्टर देखा था डिसेबिलिटी का, तो हमने देखा था कि काफ़ी लोग व्हील चेयर्स पे काम कर रहे हैं। देवर अ लॉट ऑफ स्टार्टअप्स which were totally focusing on wheelchairs or crutches or a lot of hearing aids and developing for the blind. So one of the major reasons we also realized that this was the case was because there are more number of people who have these kind of disabilities than people, let's say, who have upper arm amputation, right? So for the leg, for example, the number of people who have lower limb disability, they're way more than the upper arm disability. So we thought it was important to create something again in this field too, where we realized the current solutions were mainly cosmetic or have very limited functionality. So we thought we can take it up as a challenge and create something which in an inclusive fashion can also provide immense functionality. So that was the focus then, and that's what drove us that time. And we developed, I think, over 160 different types of prosthetic hands with various mechanisms. We tested out a lot of those and found the right combination to create what we have today, which is called IDA M Series 1.
So आज किसी को भी कुछ स्टार्ट करना है तो उसको सबसे पहले एक प्रोटोटाइप बनाना पड़ता है, उसको टेस्ट करना पड़ता है, फिर बहुत सारे इटरेशंस होते हैं, तब जाके वो एक अपना MVP प्रोडक्ट बना पाता है जिसको वो मार्केट में टेस्ट कर पाता है। तो इस प्रोसेस में आपको कितना समय लगा?
हमें अराउंड 2 से 3 साल लगे ओवरऑल पूरा R&D फेज को ओवरकम करने के लिए। बिकॉज स्पेशली जब प्रोस्थेटिक हाथ की बात करते हैं तो उसमें सबसे ज़्यादा जो इशू आता है वो ये आता है कि जो स्पेस है आपके पास टेक्नोलॉजी बनाने के लिए वो बहुत कम है। आपको सारी टेक्नोलॉजी बहुत कम स्पेस के अंदर पैक करनी है, एंड यू नीड टू एंश्योर कि वो बहुत अच्छे से सारा कॉम्बिनेशन निकल के बाहर आता है। तो हमें भी काफ़ी टाइम लगा। आज की डेट में आई थिंक इन टर्म्स ऑफ रिसोर्सेज ईजी हो गया है। पहले तो आई थिंक इवन रिसोर्सेज वर डिफिकल्ट। आज देयर आर सेवरल स्कीम्स जो बहुत एड करती है इन टर्म्स ऑफ द प्रोटोटाइपिंग स्टेज टू। So I think that is a very important phase though, where you build your first MVP. You need to ensure कि you're on the right path, you have gotten the boundaries right. Only after iterations, whether it's user feedback or your own thought process that you're putting in, उसके जैसे आप realize करते हैं कि हाँ एक particular feature मैं add कर रहा हूँ, second feature add कर रहा हूँ, so ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि दोनों out of the way है एकदम। तो यू नीड टू क्रिएट समथिंग आइटरेटिवली इन अ फैशन की सब चीज़ें एकदम कोहेसिवली आगे बढ़े। इट टेक्स टाइम बट स्पेशली इन हार्डवेयर आई वुड से, बिकॉज ऑफ आई वुड नॉट से लैक ऑफ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बट देयर इज अ डर्थ इन टर्म्स ऑफ ग्रेट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कैपेबिलिटीज और resources that are available in different parts of India. It takes time, but I think even that is a bridge. A lot of different mechanisms have bridged when it comes to, let's say, like 3D printing being like widely available now, or like, like even at school level, like they have 3D printers now with like some government schemes and incubators which are like ensuring that they have a good makerspace lab. So I think things are getting easier, but again, overall, like designing and prototyping is anyway a very hectic process.
ये बहुत सही कहा आपने. अटल इनोवेशन मिशन एक मिशन है बाय नीति आयोग, जिसमें अटल टिंकरिंग लैब्स खोली गई हैं स्कूल्स में, जहाँ पर जो ग्रास रूट इनोवेशन है या फिर आपको कोई प्रोटोटाइप डेवलप करना है, इसके लिए 3D प्रिंटिंग की फैसिलिटी भी अवेलेबल है. इसके अलावा आपने बहुत अच्छी बात बोली कि आजकल इंक्यूबेटर्स अवेलेबल हैं जो स्टार्टअप्स को सपोर्ट कर सकते हैं. तो आपका कोई एक्सपीरियंस इंक्यूबेटर के साथ में, या आपको किसी इंक्यूबेटर ने हेल्प किया हो आपकी जर्नी में, मे बी प्रोटोटाइप में या और कोई सर्विसेज में?
काफ़ी आई थिंक लाइक हमारे केस में बिकॉज हमने काफ़ी पहले शुरू किया था 2015 में, तो लाइक देवर लाइक अ फ्यू कोलैबोरेशंस जो हम लोग कनेक्टेड थे स्टार्टिंग से ही. लाइक ओवर द पीरियड टाइम वी कोलैबोरेटेड विद मोर. तो हमारे केस में लाइक फर्स्ट फ्यू इन्वेस्टर्स जैसे हमारे थिंक्यूबेट आए थे जो मुंबई में एक इन्वेस्टमेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, देन हैचर प्लस जो सिंगापुर बेस्ड है. इनिशियली हमें उन लोगों ने हेल्प किया था काफ़ी इन टर्म्स ऑफ गेटिंग द राइट कनेक्ट्स, इवन मेंटरशिप इन टर्म्स ऑफ what path to go forward to, like because they have had that kind of experiences like in the past working in different product and services ke based cohorts. So that was very important. Then we had a collaboration with Manipal incubator, AIC Manipal, you like be very well familiar with it. So wahan pe like getting different kinds of networks like to be able to test our products. Manipal had good connections in terms of like hospitals, rehabilitation centers where we could go and test. So that was also like a big advantage. Over the period of time, like we collaborated with a few more organizations, like even IIM Udaipur Incubation Center, like where they helped us in terms of like the funds and also in terms of certain CSR connects that they have. So like a lot of those things are going on, but we've had a good experience overall with incubators, and like we have seen the incubators grow over the years as well. Like जैसे कि starting के age में, like I remember like 2012 I went for an event, not related to Piltover, startup event, like it was that then called business event, right? So that time incubators were hesitant to even give out 1 lakh, for example. Today, like how you mentioned, like AIM has schemes, like even like other departments, they've come up with their schemes. आज की डेट में like अगर कोई hardware startup भी है, so like for them to, let's say, like develop the prototype itself, they have like, let's say, Nidhi Prayas jahan pe 10 lakhs ka they give a grant for you to develop that prototype itself, and then like follow on schemes as well to handle. So resource wise things have gotten easier. I think like a lot of different individuals and organizations have come together to form this amazing ecosystem where things have become very easier. Yeah, I think like there's a lot more to be done, and I hope like things are going at pace.
Yeah, that is happening. We recently, on 25th of this month, we have completed 10 years of Make in India.
Right.
So more and more startups are coming in. We are now manufacturing products which we used to outsource from outside. We are now the 5th largest economy in the world, and soon increasing as our PM's mission is also there.
मुझे उम्मीद है आप सबको ये एपिसोड पसंद आ रहा होगा. आगे बढ़ने से पहले मैं बताना चाहता हूँ आपको द पॉडकास्ट प्रोग्राम बाय स्कर्व स्टूडियो. ये प्रोग्राम एंटरप्रेन्योर्स, कोचेस और कंटेंट क्रिएटर्स को हेल्प करता है पॉडकास्ट स्क्रैच से स्टार्ट करने में, और ये पॉडकास्ट भी इन्हीं की मदद से प्रोड्यूस किया गया है, जिसकी लिंक डिस्क्रिप्शन में है. अब वापस एपिसोड पर.
सो आपकी जो जर्नी रही उसमें आपने बात करे, एक दो आपने इन्वेस्टर्स के नाम भी लिए. तो हाउ डिड यू क्लोज योर फर्स्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट? पहले इन्वेस्टर के पास पहुंचने का एक्सपीरियंस, उसको पिच करने का एक्सपीरियंस और वो डील क्लोज करने का एक्सपीरियंस.
लाइक राइटली सर, आई थिंक ये काफ़ी इंपॉर्टेंट है एंड रेलेवेंट भी लाइक इन टर्म्स ऑफ today's scenario. For us at that time, like one thing that we did, I think very well, and I think like a lot of startups should do, is validate yourself in and like put together competitive environment for your own startup. So what we used to do is like we used to compete in a lot of different events, college events, organizational events, and there like a lot of different domain experts would come. Let's say somebody, like we were working in disability, somebody from let's say automobile is coming. Their perspective on what we are building is going to be very different than like the kind of people that we are meeting on an everyday basis. So that was very important for us. Like we took part in several events, got a lot of feedback, good, bad, ugly. Like there were people who were like, okay, why don't you start making toys, because you are able to make functional hands. So like we had all different perspectives like at play, which were very helpful in like driving the vision that we had to like over the period of time. So at that particular point, I think like the competing scenario that happened like overall in different events like really helped us to understand how tons of questions are thrown at you at any event like where you're pitching. So pitching experience also came from there. Like considering like I had more of a technical background, it like kind of trained me to understand like what different types of questions like people throw at you. And like I said, like we kept competing at different events. Like I remember like one event which was like NDTV Smart 50, like where we had gone to IM Calcutta, and like couple of other events that we had applied to like were going on simultaneously. So we had a few offers initially like from the investors to invest like in the company like for what we were doing. So, but we also had talks with certain private investors that time. And it was a very difficult choice to make, because at one end you have government backed incubators like who are looking to scale certain startups, have certain schemes benefiting for them. They'll have a different type of a network versus like private investors who are putting in their like money online to have that kind of a stand. So it was a difficult decision for us. Like talking to however like Thinkubate Hatcher made it like very convincing for us like that they were the right fit for us at that time. And they really helped. Like the kind of network and the type of support that they provided us was like immense. And I feel like today the overall pitching system has changed though. Like I think people are more exposed to pitching at a very early stage. They have more frequency of these kind of events happening. I think it trains people better, but at the same time I've seen like a lot of people trying to engineeringlize the whole startup ecosystem. Like this is like these are the things that you need to have, this is the practical process that you need to have. I think the whole point of startups itself is to cause disruption. I don't think you can purely like in every scenario or in every domain like follow a strict rule to create an enterprise which will cause disruption. A lot of it is are things which you will take during your experience and like make those quick decisions. And I think that is what makes or breaks a great startup. I think like things are going very well in terms of the overall ecosystem like building and growing, but I think people need to also like trust their instinct when it comes to certain things and not just follow particular procedures. That is something that I feel like would drastically improve the overall state of the success of startups in our country and abroad. But yeah, that is my view on that.
Correctly said, Manan. We have seen a lot of people giving feedbacks to the startup founders,
Right.
which may or may not be relevant for their
Absolutely.
vision, how they started. What is your take on this? How a startup founder should react, or how he should take that feedback? Because initially what is happening, किसी भी स्टार्टअप को कोई भी लोग फीडबैक दे रहे हैं, वो फीडबैक उसको लेना है नहीं लेना है, वो बहुत कंफ्यूजिंग स्टेट है.
Right.
बिकॉज वो एक सेपरेट चेयर पे बैठे हैं, who is maybe judging them or suggesting them. तो वो कितना अडेप्टिव होना चाहिए स्टार्टअप फाउंडर को? क्या वो उसको मे बी उसके विजन से बहुत ही दूर ले जाएगा इन टर्म्स ऑफ ग्रोथ? क्या जिस विजन से या जिस गोल से उसने वो स्टार्टअप शुरू किया था, वो गोल से चेंज हो जाएगा? हम अभी ये बात करते हैं कि पिवटिंग बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है स्टार्टअप की जर्नी में. द स्टार्टअप फाउंडर शुड नॉट बी रिजिड.
Right.
तो ये दोनों डिलेमा में कैसे काउंटर करें?
I think like very good question, like very good question, because like I personally have seen like a lot of scenarios जहाँ पे ऐसा होता है like startup founders के साथ. तो I think what personally worked well for me is like कि be very receptive. Like how you said, the startup founder should not be rigid. Be receptive to everybody. Like literally, like even I quoted an example where like somebody told us to like literally go on a different domain altogether. We did listen to them. We listened to them. We processed like whether or not like it works, and that is where like having the vision of a startup becomes very crucial. Every startup should have a vision, like you know what you want to do. So pivoting like would deviate you a little bit, but like would not take you away from the vision of the company that you have. It could change the current mission of the company, but not the vision. So it is very important to be receptive, like listen to anybody and everybody, literally, but process that information, like see like would it really help the cause, really help the vision of the company, and then take a decision. Like so let's say like somebody tells me, hey, you know what, like maybe you should go do X and Y. So I'll think about, okay, should I actually do X and Y? If the answer is yes, then I go give it a try. It's that simple. If I feel like it probably wouldn't, then I would discard that idea. I think having that kind of a self-awareness, or like the awareness for your startup rather, is very important, where you know what would be good or would not be good and would it align from your vision or not? Like today, like if you're making prosthetics, right? Tomorrow, just because like an opportunity comes where I have to make cold drinks, I would not like switch that kind of, because that is not aligned well with the vision of the company that is there. So anything that would still keep your vision in place, I feel is okay. Like, and pivoting is very important. Like we have faced a lot of different scenarios, like where we had to pivot to like marginally or like sometimes more drastically. But and I think that is important because like you don't know when you're starting a particular startup, right? You don't know anything and everything that is there in that particular domain or in that particular product or the service that you're providing. As you go on, you understand the area better, and like that's where like market research also really helps. That is also like I think like one area like where the whole startup ecosystem needs to do better. Like there are very less resources when it comes to understanding like what are the actual needs or what are the actual statistics that are like there in real life. So I think that is another like thing for people to work on. But being able to do that, being able to spend time in that particular domain really prepares you and like gives you that knowledge where you know like what to do next, and like whether or not a particular advice is going to help you or it won't.
करेक्टली सेड. तो जैसे कि सेइंग है कि करो मन की सुनो सबकी.
Exactly.
फॉर स्टार्टअप्स इट्स लाइक कि सुनो सबकी, प्रोसेस करो, जो अच्छा लगे वो करो.
Exactly.
You know, being a social startup, for profit startup, how difficult it was for you to go into the market, because it is very important to get your, you know, that first customer, because most of the product startups, they make a product.
Right. Absolutely. Sure, absolutely. I think you're right. It is very important to like know how to take your product to the market, like what type of strategy to follow, and like what kind of experience you face, and like how to react to it. For us also, like it was very difficult, especially like during the time like when we finished the development of our product. We had a very good like intent like from different government organizations, and just when we were about to launch, like the COVID wave came in, and where we weren't able to actually hold gatherings of people. And like in the case of the mechanical prosthetic hand, we needed to have those kind of engagements, so it became very difficult and tricky for us. So it is, I think, like very important to know, like you said, like take that kind of customer feedback. And I think like that is one of the reasons like most of these incubators or accelerator programs nowadays like give you an actual experience during the program itself, like where they expose you with the actual customers. And like even like for the like not just the accelerator or incubation programs, even the other programs which the organizations hold, I think they tend to connect you directly to the customer, so that they know that you're not deviating too much from the product or service that you're offering, which like is the actual need of the customer. So having that particular match, like where you are in sync with what the customers really want, is very important. To like join it to the previous point that we talked about, like where we pivot, it's also important if you feel like at an early stage itself, like the solution or the product that you have been developing is like not in par or is totally out of sync to the customers, it's time then like to go back to the whiteboard, like chalk out like what you need to do better, and also like in certain cases like pivot completely. So I think customer feedback like really plays an important role in shaping the success of the product or the service any startup offers. So I think bang on like what you said about that.
आपकी जो फील्ड है असिस्टिव टेक्नोलॉजी, यू नो, इन प्रोस्थेटिक्स, बहुत नीश है. अगर if someone as a startup founder wanted to start something on these lines, ये हमने जितना भी देखा है गवर्नमेंट सपोर्टेड NGO ओरिएंटेड जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस होती हैं वहीं काम करती हैं इस पे. बहुत सारे स्टार्टअप इस फील्ड में हमने नहीं देखे.
Right.
What do you think is the future of assistive technology in India, or maybe globally, if you have a perspective of that? Because India is a growing market. Because I have gone through the website, and you have already made a hand for the Indian market.
Right.
And you and your team is working on making an electronic and a myoelectric hand as well.
Right.
But India would be a difficult market for those hands.
Absolutely.
Because of the cost that is involved, and insurance doesn't support these kind of services in India. What is your take on that?
Thanks for the question. Brilliant perspective. I think for us, like the first product that we have developed is IDA M Series 1. M stands for mechanical. So it's a completely mechanical prosthetic hand, which is focused to helping people at the bottom of the pyramid. we have priced the product at like 15,000 rupees, which is like the baseline of any prosthetic hands that are available today. Like people, even on a cosmetic level, are selling it for like 20-30K. Which is again like not affordable to a lot of people. Let's say like talking about like a rickshaw puller in India, like they go through an accident, like highly reliant on organizations which are non-profits or government, like you rightly said. So I think the overall trend is changing, but very slightly. I feel like where assistive technology is being talked about by tons of organizations, tons of events are happening, like a lot of awareness is being created, because this is definitely an area which needs some focus. There needs to be more motivation for people to come and start up in that particular domain. That is really much needed. I think it is evolving, but I still feel like there are certain areas in this domain completely where it does not have the capability to support all the solutions that are available, even if they're good. So we've also faced a lot of issues when it comes to getting to the right people or getting the right type of support, or like even like understanding, like at an early stage. So that was definitely a problem for us. Like I said, like mechanical hand is like solely focused on people who are at the bottom of the pyramid, like especially for developing countries or underdeveloped countries, like where there are absolutely no solutions for that at all. Having said that, like because we are also a tech company, we ensure that the features that we add onto the prosthetic hand have capabilities where people can actually perform tasks of daily life. We had this concept of daily life, like where any feature that we add onto the prosthetic hand can be circled back to a set of tasks that it allows the person to actually perform. When we are building any product, like the reason the cost is down is not because lack of functionality. The whole idea of like founding our organization is to ensure that we bring the best of technology and like make it inclusive for each and every person. The electronic hand, however, and the myoelectric hand, again, the idea there is to make it inclusive. Like I said at the start of the podcast, like where we are just focusing on building products which have a social impact. So the costs even there would be tenfolds down than like what is available today. The kind of technology that we'd obviously be competing with the best that is out there, regardless of the cost. Those products are mainly focused for countries and even communities like which have, you mentioned insurance, and I like want to talk about like a very interesting point there, like where we have like the idea where for the electronic and myoelectric hand, we would want to, like talk and partner with insurance organizations, try to sell the product to them. Because in all of these European countries, individuals do not have to really pay for the kind of device that they're getting. In India, for example, for the prosthetic hands, like for people at the bottom of the pyramid, there's usually like a camp, which I'd mentioned, like we have to have a public gathering, like 200 people or like 500 people would come there, they'd be distributed the hands, they can then go to the rehabilitation center, get it fixed. Countries like which are backed by insurance, each individual, like there are countries which have health as a mandate given by the government, right? So these devices are then given by the insurance company. So here the beneficiaries of the cost aspect that we have like brought down like by tenfolds is not going to be the person, because they would be getting products regardless from the insurance companies with the bracket that they have. But here the real beneficiaries of the product that we have, apart from the like actual users who are benefiting from it, would be the insurance companies too, like where they would be able to provide these hands to a larger number of people because of the cost. So for each and every product, the mechanical hand, electronic hand and myoelectric hand, the market is totally different for us. We try to like make it very compatible for each and every market that we are building it for, and like hence each product is designed in a different manner, like to keep that in mind and like make it more adaptable to each and every different geography or the community that we are talking about.
It was, I guess, it's an amazing journey where, from figuring out a problem and working on that to build a solution out of it. People are saying that this is India's century where we'll come up in the front line. India is told to be a country of problems. And now we are being an entrepreneur, being a founder. We have heard a lot that India is also a land of opportunities. For every problem, we can opt for a solution, right? So India is a land of opportunities, and that's how we have been seeing so many startups growing at a pace. Coming back to your startup, in your journey, what are the few milestones that you and your team celebrates?
I think like again a great question, because I think the milestones for each company or like each team would be like very different. For us, I remember like the first actual milestone that we thought we hit was in a particular event. I talk about this a lot, but like it's something that stayed with us. Like we went for an event where we were supposed to actually just showcase the product, like while we were developing the product, and we did not know that we had to do a test on an actual human being at that time. Like that was not communicated to us, but they asked us, and we realized, like we did all the like safety checks and realized that was possible at that time, like in a controlled environment. And when we did that, post the whole event, like where they had to showcase it to their investors, the organization, when we were leaving, the person who actually tried out the hand asked us if they could keep it. So like that for us like became a huge accomplishment in terms of, you know, like that we had actually created something that was really helpful to the patient at that level where they wanted to keep it and like, you know, start using it. So achievements like this has like really helped us in terms of being like more motivated towards doing more, because like being in a social space, like when we are a social startup, it's already difficult. Like we discussed, not a lot of like maturity in terms of the domain itself is present as of today. Like it's growing, but it's going to take time. But events like this or moments like this like really push you to do even more and like continue doing things that you're doing at a really fast pace. So this is like on a like motivation level, like the achievements, and going back to the part like where we've constantly competed to know like what other competition that is out there, or like how good or bad we are when it comes to a particular feature that we want to test, or what are the things that we can include through different startup events, etc. So those fronts too, like constantly competing and like getting recognized in certain scenarios like really motivates the team, and like definitely something that helps us improve, especially like events that we don't win. I remember like a couple of events like which were very disheartening for us. Like when we did not win, we were like, oh, you know, like we must be doing something wrong, and then like the next year on, like we had a better standing there. So I think constantly competing like really ensures that you are having quality in like what you're doing as well. So event wise too, like a few like remarkable like experiences have been like Start JLM, where like we represented India and Israel. Then Viva Tech, we went to Paris to present like from the Indian cohort, and then some of our teammates also went to California to present through RSSCP. A lot of different events, NDTV Smart 50 that I mentioned, like we had also like applied to Shark Tank. We got through like in the first season, then made a decision like not to go there. Couple of other smaller scale events which gave us like a lot of good feedback too. I think they were like very important in our journey. Overall, like these events like really kept us in check and really helped us in like kind of shaping the way that what we were building whenever we were going off track. So I think, yeah, these were like several set of motivation that we had like when it came to, you know, like being out there or competing whenever like we were building any product or service. So yeah, I think that is majorly it.
Piltover का next step क्या है? क्या अपकमिंग कोई नया इनोवेशन आ रहा है, कोई प्रोजेक्ट कर रहे हैं आप जिसके बारे में आप थोड़ा बहुत शेयर करना चाहें?
Sure, absolutely. Like very interesting solution that we are building now. So few years back, like we came across a scenario like where some student like from a medical college was actually caught by the police, जहाँ पे like they were carrying real bones अपने बैग में, and the police thought grave digging हो रहा है. So like they caught the student, and then the university had to like interfere and bring that person out like to like clear the misunderstanding. So then that time we thought, you know, like because we are a healthcare startup like working in the social impact, so we are definitely building products for the patients. And what we also want to do is, you know, have like a major impact on the complete healthcare sector. So we thought, why don't we start by also taking care of the problems that the people who are studying medical, we like ensure that the quality of healthcare given out to the patients is also very good. Because like we came across this instance when we were working in the prosthetic hand field, like where we went to a rehabilitation center and we saw how the rehabilitation process goes. Right, so it was mainly like, especially for people at the bottom of the pyramid, like they got in a transparent plastic bag, which was like not really like thoughtfully designed. You know, like people talk about packaging in 2024. That was the worst packaging that I'd ever seen on a like product, especially when the patient already has like some kind of psychological, you know, downfall when they're coming to like, generally it's like their friends or family like which push them to go get prosthetics. So we went and we saw like how bad the packaging was, like, and like the overall process too, like there was like so much negativity in that space itself that like it would be difficult for a patient to actually adapt so quickly. And then like we talk about how the adaptability of prosthetics is not really a thing. Like I really felt there was some like solution that we can do for that. So we came up with a theory we call the box theory, which caters to the psychological aspect. So I'll keep it at side, like that is a talk for another day. But then that is when we realize, like, even on the caregiving side, like, we need to have something where we are able to train the healthcare givers, like, in a way where they also, like, find things more interesting. I've personally seen tons of my friends, like, who pursued MBBS, like, or other medical courses, where they had to study 18 hours, 20 hours a day, like, and their life became so monotonous. And I used to wonder, like, why medical field में, like, less innovations are happening. And to be honest, like, I don't think we can expect these people to start innovating. There definitely is a, like, bridge that we need to build between different domains, so that people can come together and then build something. Like, people whose job is to build, like, will need to build, and not the doctors, like, who come up with the innovations. Even if they have the ideas, they don't have the time to actually work on it. So that is when we thought, like, and then this incident, like, of the student getting caught by the police, like, really caught our eye. And, like, we have had, like, amazing mentors and advisors, like, in our company too. Like, so Professor N. Sharma sir, like, who's there, like, he was the one who communicated this whole incident to us. Like, it was in a, like, very funny scenario. And then, like, he asked, like, why don't you guys, like, build something for it? So we started working on it, and we thought, okay, what are the things that are wrong? So we talked to a lot of different students, noted down, like, tons of different problems that they face. Like, it was not just, like, carrying transportation, it was also, like, marking, it was also in availability. Then we figured out the whole system. This was, like, years ago. And recently, I think, like, with the overall changes which has happened in terms of, like, where unclaimed bodies earlier used to go to the medical institutes, now they have to be cremated or buried. So it causes, like, more dearth of cadavers, and hence, like, bone sets too for the students. So according to, like, the standards, it should be at a ratio of 1 cadaver to 5 students. In tons of developing countries, and even developed countries for that matter, the ratio is as bad as, like, 1:150 or 1:75. So that is something that we wanted to, like, fix with the same solution that we were doing. So we thought at that time, okay, like, why don't we create something, like, with the, like, skills that we have. Like, so we have great designers in our team, we have had, like, immense experience in 3D printing. So we tied up with, like, different medical institutes. Like, we've made some very recent collaborations too, like, which soon we'll talk about, like, out in the open. With that, like, we designed anatomically correct bone sets. Now we manufacture them. And not only just the hardware, because we were doing it, we said, like, whatever we want to do, we want to compete, like, and create the best possible solution for everybody. So we have created a layer of augmented reality on top of those particular bones. So what really happens is, like, if a student wants to study anatomy, right, there is no dearth, first of all, in terms of the number of bone sets that a college or an institute can have. We can provide them with that. There are no defective bones. So let's say, like, everybody's skull is different, right? So maybe a particular part in the skull is difficult to see in one skull than it is in the other. In certain cases, while you're extracting the bones, like, some damage happens. In certain cases, like, the person met with an accident, so bones were not perfect at the same time. So it was scary. Like, if you think about it, like, on an individual level, I think it's scary for me, like, if I have to undergo a surgery, right, to know that the doctors who's, like, doing the surgery maybe imagined how the bone should be. So that was another, like, individual but funny, like, motivation factor for us to do it. So we have the solution now, like, which we are going to launch very soon. We have partnered with some organizations, like, we have certain collaborations in place. So it is like a like, anatomically correct 3D printed bone sets with a layer of augmented reality, where students and teachers both can have online sessions too. Like, just like how we are having an online session, they can have an augmented reality based session. Like, they could all be in the same session, see the bones, like, study anatomy better, and so on. So that is, like, the next product that we have in line. We've not, like, publicized it much, but I think this is the first online platform where we are talking about it. Soon, like, we will put out more information about it, but this is, like, something really interesting that we've been onto, and, like, we're looking forward to how it plays out in the market.
It sounds amazing, and sounds like a game changer, and you won't be jailed for carrying those bones.
Yeah, absolutely. I personally have had incidents, you know, like, when I was carrying these prototypes, artificial bone sets, like, I remember, like, I had to go to from Bangalore, and in Bangalore airport they stopped me. The CISF guards, like, stopped me, and they were like, okay, like, we need to see, like, no, don't touch it. And I was like, I just want to show you that there would be lines if you look very closely. And they did not let us touch the bones, and they were like, no, you guys stay here. Then they talked to each and every person on the airport. After 30 minutes of holding us, they're like, okay, you go. And one guy, just the head of security there, like, told us, in my 14 years of journey, I've not seen that like this kind of a scenario, so they didn't know what to do. And honestly, I think that itself is like proof enough to know, like if the medical students, like engineers would carry their tools, civil engineers would have their tools, like each and every category of people would have their books or their tools like carrying with them, which is very normal. But if the medical students don't have bone sets that they have been carrying in 14 years of his service, he's never seen it, that itself is like a thing, like where like something of this sort is needed, and there are problems that we need to solve, and hopefully through the solution that we have come up with, like we would be able to.
I guess next time when we'll meet, you will have this solution on ground. So I'll be happy to see those bones as well.
Absolutely.
That you guys are making. So great time. Thank you, Manan, for agreeing to be a part of this podcast. Any special message to those founders or those aspiring entrepreneurs who are listening to this podcast or are in maybe tier 2, tier 3 and wanted to start some of their own venture? They might have an idea, but they don't know where to start and if they can start or not, because that is the biggest dilemma that they must be having.
I think like the simplest message would be like to believe in like yourself. I know like this is a cliche, but like it really comes with feelings, where I've seen like tons of people with great ideas who just like not confident enough. So like leave the world apart. Like the more you think about a particular idea, the better you plan it, the more real it gets. So I think just believe in yourself in trying to create that idea a reality. Get in touch with people around you who would be able to support you, and like don't think like people around you don't want to help you. Everybody in this world, like if somebody comes to you for a help that you would be able to give easily, you wouldn't shy away. So the same way, when you need help, you reach out to people around you like who would want to do the same. So there are people out there. It's not like such a bad world out there. So just go, like believe in your ideas, move forward, have a great set of advisors and like people around you like who would guide you and who would want to support and make things happen for you. I think like this is the simplest thing that I can say, and you'd be surprised with what you can do.
Thank you, Manan, for the message, and thank you for being a part of this podcast again. Happy to see you soon.
Thank you so much, Puneet. Thanks for calling me. I think like it's a great initiative, especially like even like how I said, like we keep competing. One like major problem for us, like I want to like mention, because you've taken this initiative to solve that issue too, was what events do we apply for? Like we never had a particular platform. Like there were some like campus related like platforms that people made, even those died away. If I look for events today, like there aren't really like a lot of platforms which would have like the right information. They're all like, some of the links when I click, they go back to like 2018 we had an event. Like last date of applying was 30th July 2018. So I can't do that right now. So I think like the initiative that you've taken up of All About Startups is amazing, in terms of where I talked about like startups should compete, keep themselves out there. It's important for people to know what particular events are relevant to them, what particular events they should apply to. I think like the solution that you've created, like All About Startups, really solves that issue. And I like hope to see it grow like drastically, and really like I think it's like a great tool for all the different startups, or even people who are wanting to start up. Like we talked about how they should be supported at an early stage. People wouldn't know. We talked about like Nidhi Praya scheme for instance, which helps like get you 10 lakhs for the prototype that you're developing. But okay, like where do we go? Separate link for that, separate link for another policy. But like All About Startups like is putting them all together under one shed. I think like that is something that we really needed. So thank you so much like for making it easier for like us as well as like for all the budding entrepreneurs out there. And like we all hope and wish you all the best for this initiative.
Thank you. We are just trying to do our bit.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
तो ये था हमारा आज का एपिसोड मनन इस्सर के साथ में। हमें उम्मीद है आपको ये जर्नी इंफॉर्मेटिव और इंस्पायरिंग लगी होगी। ऐसे और भी अमेजिंग स्टार्टअप स्टोरी सुनने के लिए हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें और अपने नेटवर्क में शेयर करें। क्या पता कब कौन कहाँ इंस्पायर हो जाए। तब तक के लिए एक्सप्लोर करते रहिए, इनोवेट करते रहिए और अपने पैशन को फॉलो करते रहिए। मिलते हैं अगले एपिसोड में।